right, so how is a new Speaker of the House of Representatives selected following the resignation of former Speaker Marissa Dalrymple Philibert? And what is the role of the Speaker anyway? These questions and more we're putting to teaching assistant in the Department of Government at the UWI Mona, Andrew McDaniel. Good morning. Thank you for being here with us this morning. And soon to be lawyer.
Welcome to
interesting times, eh?
Yeah, it is a very interesting time for democracy globally.
Yeah. But your take on what's going on in Jamaica, especially in the last 2 weeks, I feel like we've been through hills and valleys.
Yeah, definitely.
More valleys and hills.
Definitely. It's, as a matter of fact, it's unprecedented in a sense of, since independence, the speakers usually only change once the government is changing. So this is the first time since independence that we've seen a speaker actually, being changed or elected before the tenure of the administration is finished. So it's interesting.
Sim said we're going to find out how it's done, but the Most Honourable Juliet Holness is the Deputy Speaker. Why does she not just step in the role?
All right, no, it's two separate positions, and the processes are similar, but the roles are basically, one is the main and one is the understudy, and one remains the understudy even with the absence of the main. So while...
Sorry to jump in, which is what I don't understand.
Yes.
And are you suggesting it's just that if Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert was sick, she would jump in, but no, that
and absent.
She can't.
So
it's not automatic.
Yeah. It's not the same as you would have a vice president or a president of the United States. It's two separate positions. So only in the absence or the other person is unable to perform their functions, or while they're in the process of electing a speaker, the deputy actually steps in and performs the function. But it's not a case where you automatically become the speaker as the deputy.
We're talking about performing the function, so let's talk about the function. What is the role and the function? What are the roles and functions of the Speaker of the House?
It's quite an unfortunate situation because as the Speaker of the House, you are that model or that measuring stick for impartiality and fairness. So the functions basically mean that you act as a moderator and a mediator in the House too as well. So
the arbiter.
Yeah, what the Speaker does is really facilitates that discussion, and we Jamaicans, we know how robust the debates can get in parliamentary sittings. So what happens is the Speaker usually controls the flow of the conversation between both the government and the oppositions, especially in the way in which you communicate, and also ensuring that the order of the day or the schedule is kept in the House in terms of what's being discussed and, the extent to which the debate can touch on certain topics and what can be said in the House as well in terms of the use of language. I'll give you a specific example. There was a situation with Member of Parliament Lawton Cousins where he had used a particular phrase, right? I won't repeat it, but he had used a particular phrase, which was a very normal
there's nothing wrong with the word. You can say it right here if you want.
No, it's a very normal, I tread lightly, but it's a very normal phrase in the English language, but he had used the phrase, and, Miss Dalrymple Philibert, she had mentioned to him that the word will not be allowed in the discussion. So
what I find even more interesting in recent times is the the control that rested with her in terms of engaging the microphones of the folks who sat in that honourable house, and the debate over that, whether there was too much power being centered in her hands, whether we were fueling autocracy over democracy. What's your feeling on that?
All right, so it's not too much power in the hands of the Speaker. The biggest issue is that the Speaker, or the role of the Speaker, is one that's partisan. So the Speaker originally comes from the majority or the government. So because the Speaker is from the government, there is this, function of protecting the rights of the opposition. So as the Speaker, if you're from the majority, then no, it seems as if you have too much power when you can control the mics, especially when the opposition has a point to raise on something that affects your party. And in this Westminster model style system that we have here in Jamaica, the whole idea of collective responsibility simply means that even though you are supposed to be in a position of neutrality, you're still expected to be aligned with the party that you're currently attached to, which for Ms. Philibert would be the Jamaica Labour Party.
Andrew, as far as I know, that thing with the mic is something new.
Yes, it's new. It's a new PA system.
Normally do that.
It's new.
But here's a question, and you used the word a couple of times, impartiality. Why is it then that it is from one side or the other? Because it could be from the PNP side also. So I'm not saying, and I'm not suggesting that Mrs. Dalry Philibert was not partial,
Yes.
or she wasn't impartial, but
Yes.
I'm saying, why does it not happen like the Governor General, so to speak? So he's not from if it wasn't a Labour right or a PNP person who get the job. Why do you think it should be somebody who is not affiliated to one of the parties? Well, I don't know if you can find anybody in Jamaica who not affiliated, but I mean, I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion because I'd suggest something similar. And further on, I'll touch on what Britain has done in terms of their Speaker of the House. Now, in terms of the Speaker being completely not from the House, the Speaker has to come from the House of Representatives and the 63 Member of Parliament sitting in the House.
That's our rule.
Yeah, that's our process in terms of selecting the Speaker. So once that is the case, you know that if you do find an outside party controlling the order of business, the schedule and stuff like that, you'll still... Yeah, you'll still...
But you have to change the Constitution.
Yeah, you'll have to reform the Constitution to find somebody from either of the parties.
So how do they do this now? Who is the government? The government just get up and say, Andrew is the new Speaker? How do they do this?
No, that's not the case. So what will happen tomorrow, I think, is that they will meet as the House, the Members of Parliament. I doubt all 63 of them will be there, but what will happen is they will stand, or somebody will stand and, of course, propose someone in the House to be a Speaker, and that person can't be a minister or a permanent secretary, right, per the Constitution, and they'll propose somebody to be the new Speaker, and that person, of course...
Person cannot be a minister or a PS?
A permanent secretary, yeah.
In the meantime, Mrs. Holness will hold the position until they choose.
Until they elect the new individual. So what will happen is that the person has to be aware that they're going to be proposed, or I like to say nominated, to be the Speaker, per se, and once they are proposed, what will happen is... they have to be seconded as well. So comes the proposal, then somebody, another member in the House, seconds the nomination or the proposal, and then they address the clerk in the House, by the way, while doing this. And in addressing the clerk will now propose the question to the nominee, the person who has been nominated by the members or the member, and then that person now answers the question, and then they ask for objection.
The question is are you willing to
become the Speaker? Something of that sort.
That you said it can't be a Member of Parliament?
It can't be a minister or a permanent secretary.
Minister.
A minister in the cabinet.
Okay.
So Member of Parliament, of course, one from the 63, but can't be a minister in cabinet. So what will happen is that...
So Mrs. Holness is eligible?
She's a deputy, but she's just a deputy.
Yes, but can she be...
Yeah, because she's not a...
Speaker, she's not... What portfolio?
No, she's not a minister.
She's not a minister.
So I'm saying she's eligible to
become the deputy.
Yes.
To become the deputy.
To become the Speaker.
To become the Speaker. All right, so if somebody does propose that Mrs. Holness becomes the Speaker, then of course, no objection.
Gotcha.
Then such be the case. But the only restriction placed on you is one, you have to be from the House, or you can't be a minister or a permanent secretary. So once you check the boxes, then really and truly... A senator?
You could be a senator.
You have to sit among the House. So it has to be among the members of the House. So the House of Representatives, the lower House.
Oh, the lower House.
So it has to be among the members of the House, because you have the President of the Senate and so on, and the seat.
So one of the 63 will be the Speaker?
One of the 63 will be the Speaker. So what will happen is that once they go ahead and propose the individual and somebody seconds it, the nomination, and then there is no objection, of course, and there is no second proposal, then it's a very simple process.
Yeah. As far as you know,
should be.
Yeah.
As far as you know, have we ever had a Speaker from the opposition?
From the opposition, no.
Constitution don't allow for that.
No, it does.
It does.
Yes,
Okay.
you can. It doesn't matter who's in power. You can have a Speaker from the opposition.
That would be something.
We've never had that. So historically, what has happened is, especially since independence, or since the first one in 1945 from the Jamaica Labour Party that time, so what has happened is that the Speakers, they tend to come from that majority, and it's usually done intentionally, of course, because if you are the majority, then you'd like for the neutral party to be the one.
Quote unquote neutral.
Does the Speaker have a vote? Like, sometimes
the Speaker has a vote. No, the Speaker tends to not participate in the debate in itself. It's just to facilitate the conversation. So the Speaker is supposed to remain impartial at all times.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spot you, Andrew. Who do you see?
Who do I
as
see?
the next potential or possibilities?
Well, let me just say, it's a very tricky situation they're in tomorrow, and I say that because the reason is that, if they do select somebody else, there's an ongoing investigation currently based on what the previous events, and if they do select someone else, they have to ensure it is somebody that they're sure that, this person will not be implicated or, caught up in another situation similar to what we just witnessed.
Yeah, I think your recommendation was something that I had said earlier.
Yes, it would have been, similar to Britain. And ironically, our system is modeled by the British Westminster model as well. But what they've done is that once they select a speaker, that speaker cannot be partisan anymore. So my recommendation is to remove the selection of the speaker itself from the partisan structure of our political system, yeah? So
like
in
the
Britain,
Governor General.
Yeah, like the Governor General. But in Britain, what they do is the speaker is usually from a political party. But once you become a speaker, you are no longer a part of a political party anymore. I mean, of course, you still have your leanings.
I was just going to say the reverse should be true. You shouldn't choose somebody who was once a part of, because they're going to carry their biases in.
Yeah, the leanings will be there just the same, but at least you know that there is not that, let me say, obligation.
Right. Right.
I call it obligation because collective responsibility is really that part of our political system. And once you're a part of the party, your human nature per se for the politician is that you tend to align with the beliefs of the party, regardless of the situation. So,
by the way, on the front page of the Gleaner today, Mrs. Holness says she's ready to do it if she's
asked. Really?
Yep, it's on the front page. She said if she's asked to do it, she's ready to do it. I say she's the deputy speaker. Give it to Mrs. Holness. Done the argument.
And she's a very hard worker.
Yeah, just done the argument. Give it to her and done the argument.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
That's what I said. She's the deputy. I mean, it still don't make no sense. I hear what Andrew said, but it still don't make any sense to me to have a deputy and then I gone and you're going to vote for somebody else again. Then why are you the deputy? Just because every time I'm sick, you jump in the place? Well,
you have deputy CEOs who aren't automatically elevated to CEO once the role of CEOs
I'm saying it should be automatic.
Okay, we have to break. I'm so sorry.
Good to see Andrew.
Yes, thank you, Andrew.
Well explained. Sit with us for a while.
Teaching assistant in the Department of Government at the UWI Mona, Andrew McDaniel. Coming up,
we hear about pension living from a pensioner. Soon come. Stay with us, please.